everybody, to the Tapped in Indy Podcast, brought to you by the Tapped Out Podcast Network. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Jack Jameson, man. What's going on, man?
Oh, you already know I got to start this over. Hold on 1 second. I am 1/4 of the Frat House. We're the best party. Pose Malone, Flex Luger, Hot Puppinator, Jack Jameson. And I'm pretty pumped up, Nick. Got a big win last night in a tag match with the newest Frat House pledge, Dennis Glass. We picked up a win over the Mikes, Mike Solar, Mike Cunningham. And then afterwards, we were able to jump Tyler Shoup, as you can see on the Instagram. Beat him up a little bit, let him get a fair warning for this coming Thursday, Battle in Bulldog Country, the Frat House, myself, Preston Vance, and Cole Carter, with Dennis Glass accompanying us to the ring. We'll be taking on Tyler Shoup, Trevor Blackwell, and Axe Clover. So, going ahead and getting a little early advantage on that. Feeling pretty good.
Yeah, man, you're everywhere, dude. I mean, it's look, I'll jump out of the show notes order a little bit, and you guys have got shows. Like I said, I was at the show last night there in Watkinsville. You got another one Thursday in Athens at the warehouse. We'll get into specifics on all that. Friday in McDonough. I'm like, do you guys run enough shows? I mean, they got you guys running everywhere.
It's never enough, baby. You can never get enough wrestling.
That is true, I guess. Especially if you're on the working side of it, that is probably true. I got a little ball busting from some of the guys that were like, "Hey, we didn't see you Friday. Where were you?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't come to every single show you guys run. I mean, you guys run so many." And unfortunately, I was, I did have to go. I've just felt kind of, as somebody who covers Georgia wrestling, kind of obligated. Southern Honor ran their last show at their Action Building. They've been at for 7.5 years. So kind of look, I was like, I was like, hey man, look, I hope you get like why I had to be there, right? Like that just kind of makes sense. And they were like, yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
This, Southern Honor, it's historic.
Yeah, I was going to ask you kind of what, I mean, I know you not there, you're not working there, but like kind of like the vibe from outside of Southern Honor. Like everybody, there's a lot of reaction across the state, to be honest with you, about it. Just thoughts, real quick before we move on to anything else.
Yeah, I did the DDP Battle Royal thing they do there, Invitational, a couple of years ago. That was pretty cool.
Rumble Jack, is that what it is or something?
No, not the Rumble. It was like a DDP Battle Royals something. But anyways, it was cool. Dylan is great. Very professional, loves wrestling, very passionate about what he does, and he does a great job over there. They've provided a lot of spots and opportunities for a lot of people in the state of Georgia and across the country as well. They had huge moments like having Cody Rhodes there, having Chris Jericho there, as well as many other people. So great show, and I'm sure they have more to come, and we'll kind of get into that later on too. But huge night for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a building that saw, like you said, Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, all there in one night. Basically it was a launching point when before AEW actually had started. There was no footage. It was kind of one of the first times that there's, that those kind of interacted as far as in a ring. So yeah, cool. A lot of cool moments there in the Action Building, and it's kind of sad to see the building go, but it's just the building. Southern Honor's going to move on. We may get to it here, and if not, check us out over on the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight. I've obviously going to have a little recap of what went down at that show, and a little bit look ahead. And if you want to catch the Spotlight or this show early, you can become a Patreon member, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. And then you can, get the shows early. $5 tiers gets every single weekly show early. The show notes are for $1 only every single week. You can be at that tier. The $10, you get everything. There's also the digital collectibles at the $10 level, and the actual physical 8.5 by 11 that you get on a monthly at the $25 level. And we might have to get you on one of those. I've designed a couple with you. I've shown you a couple here and there.
I'm anything that has to do with showing my face or my name. I'm down.
Absolutely. But again, let's do a little more of a deeper dive into these 3 shows that you got coming up, because I know the show obviously last night, I again was there. We'll cover that on the spotlight as well. But the Thursday it's a new spot. That's a huge thing. It's let me rephrase that, another new spot for you guys at One Fall, and huge one apparently from everything, all the news that I heard last night.
Yeah, the warehouse in Athens, Georgia. It's the Dalton Carpet One warehouse actually. We're gonna soup it up a little bit, make it look like a cool wrestling venue. It's gonna be a big show. We saw a lot of things set up last night actually going on. Anthony Agogo and QT Marshall teamed together, and in the middle of the match, Agogo attacked QT, hit him with an Olympic slam or angle slam. QT called him out, challenged him to a match Thursday, and since it's QT's company and he basically has the power to do that, that match is going to happen. We'll see. There should be some clips posted to the Instagram soon, probably by the time this airs. So you'll be able to see that over there, as well as the Warden. For some reason, Brady Booker and Tyler Shoup had a match against CJ Montana and Jason Esquire. They won. Brody's trained harder. After the match, Warden came out, hit both of them from behind, picked Brady up, hit him with a huge slam. Walked out, stared down Brady's title belt. Brady obviously is not one to just take that. So he got up, grabbed the microphone, called Warden out. And looks like they're going to have themselves a hardcore match this Thursday. Warden's been running around telling everybody he's not crazy for no reason, which usually if somebody's telling you for no reason that they're not crazy, it probably means they are crazy. After the show, there's even footage. They were filming the ring breakdown process for management. They want to see the efficiency and if there's anything they can do better. So they had somebody recording, and they caught Warden, came out. Everybody's got their guard down. It's the end of the night. They all wrestled. Everybody's beaten up, bruised, hurting. They just want to get home. So they're doing their jobs, putting the ring away, tearing down. Nobody's expecting to be attacked and physically, get physical with anybody at that moment. So Warden came out, started beating everybody up. Poor Ethan Dallas of the Wonder Boys took a package pile driver on the exposed wood of the ring while it was being torn down. It was pretty vicious. So that footage will be available on the One Fall Wrestling Instagram as well soon, probably by the time this airs. So if you want to see that, you can check it out. It is pretty graphic and violent. That is one nasty package pile driver on some exposed wood.
I get that we all say Warden's a little on the unhinged side, and I get all of that. I do. But there might be a little bit of level of genius that he immediately jumped the line, and now he's he's getting that match with Brady Booker. So there might be a little crazy, but a genius at the same time.
Hey, that's sometimes that's all it takes. Just be a little nuts.
Oh yeah. Again, huge opportunity there Thursday. The warehouse in Athens should be a huge show. What are they calling it? The battle in Bulldog Country or something?
Battle at Bulldog Country, baby.
Check that out. We'll have a lot of that up. Yeah, it should be a fun show.
Yeah, we'll see. We got a couple other good matches there. Super Wild will be taking on the Wonder Boys if Ethan Dallas can make it after taking that package pile driver on the wood. They said he should be able to fully recover, so hopefully he'll be there Thursday night. We can see that match. There was, come on now, maybe the best match of the card, if not the most entertaining. It's always going to have, he's usually a big surprise. I'm going to spoil the surprise here. Billy Gunn will be there Thursday night in Athens, Battle of Bulldog Country. And Billy Gunn will be teaming with seemingly his new favorite tag partner, Vari Morales, the One Fall Breakout Champion. I know you say champions always defend their titles on the One Fall shows, but Vari, if he gets a chance to tag with Billy, of course he's going to tag with Billy. That's
absolutely, yeah.
The title can wait. Take a night off from defending it. He's always happy to do that if he gets to hang out with his buddy Billy. And they'll be taking on, of course, the 6'4", 260 Ukrainian-born Thriller Elijah Drago and Mark Davidson. So that is a pretty interesting matchup. Seeing size-wise, those guys all kind of even out. Styles-wise, they all kind of even out. So that'll be a pretty interesting one to keep your eyes on.
And if you were not at the Monday show, you missed out Billy Gunn breaking out his lucha moves as he put it in the ring. So don't sleep on Billy throwing out some lucha wrestling in the middle of this Thursday action. So yeah, absolutely should be a blast of a show. And you've got a show Friday as well.
Friday in McDonough. Our favorite show because it's where most of us are based out of, so we don't have to travel too far. We got a huge match, which will definitely be match of the night, in my opinion. We're going to have QT Marshall defending his Larry Auto Championship title, sanctioned by the Big LG himself, allowing us to do this against none other than Sidney Akeem, the high-flying motivator, formerly of WWE, Reggie and Scripps. Maybe one of the most acrobatic wrestlers of all time. If you've ever seen his work, it's insane. So him and QT are going to put on an absolute banger. That match will be incredible. They'll film that and even put that on the Larry Auto show, I believe. So you will be able to check that out. That's going to be huge. The Frat House, we're in Athens the night before. The boys figured they'd stay. We'll go out and party all night long. We'll get up, hit the workout, get that done, and then we'll go to McDonough and we'll win another trios match. Because let me hear you say, Frat House, win or lose. We booze, baby. But we're not going to lose. We're going to win, and we're going to get jumped 2 nights in a row.
It's the weekend. It's a long weekend. It's when you got that Thursday night to it for sure. I bring it up because you guys are now, you got an Atlanta show. How many shows are you guys at now, if you had to guess?
Going into the month, we had 6, but now by the time the month is over, we'll have done like 8.
It's crazy. It's a breakneck schedule for sure, man.
We pick them up as we go.
Yeah, lots of opportunities. And some of what I wanted to get into this week is
real quick, if I could just get a couple of these other matches out real quick for Friday night. You will have a 3-way match for the number 1 contender spot at the TV taping against Isis Reed, and it'll be between Hyena Hera, Joya Blake, and Miranda Elise. And then we'll see for the 1FW Men's Championship title, brought him up earlier, Anthony Ogogo will be taking on Brady Booker in McDonough, Georgia for the 1FW heavyweight title. The Olympic medalist Anthony Ogogo versus the One Fall Wrestling heavyweight champion Brady Booker with the title on the line.
I was going to take a Friday night off, man. You may make me drive down to McDonough. It's a bit of a haul, but you may make it happen. So
that's why I had to get that plug in right there.
There you go, man. And what I was saying is, like, there's all these opportunities that you guys create with all these shows that you're doing, but it's all about learning. And, we kind of started this at the last show that you were on, that maybe when you're on, we do a little bit of what we call that Pro Wrestling 101 and go over some things that, we wanted to talk about, you specifically wanted to talk about. And it was crazy. I told you when you had put some of these topics in there, like, this actually came up. 2 different people asked me both of these topics, and I was like, you know what? Make sure you subscribe and you catch the show this week because we're going to go into it a little bit. And I'll let you start with the first one.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, man. It's wrestling, I think, is such like a niche. There's so many fans and like it's a big group, but I think it's such like a specific thing that like when somebody has a thought, there's all these other people are having that same exact thought at the same time. It's like wrestlers oftentimes they'll come into a locker room and be like, hey, I saw this spot or I want to try this thing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll be like 6 other people are like, oh yeah, I just watched that too. Like,
yeah. And that's some of the lessons I think is because what we're seeing that's not done well, and everybody in different locker rooms are having the same conversations of like, we need to fix X, or we all need to do better at Y, or whatever that is. And I think that does. I think it's one of the cool things we had talked about. The idea on here is that we can put stuff out there, because even though it might be taught in one class, it probably means everybody needs to hear it and learn it. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure. So starting off 101 here, promos. I mean, we've talked about this. I've talked about this with other people. I've actually talked about this recently with Big Trouble Ben Bishop himself, who's maybe social media promo master right now. I don't think anybody's putting out more than him. But that was something, when I started, that was my big thing. I loved doing promos for social media and promoting the shows I was going to be on and pushing angles and storylines and things that I was doing. And even if it wasn't like something that the shows were pushing, I would just make it up on my own and like make it mean more for the match that I was going to have, rather than just walking in and having a meaningless match. Because for me, that's no fun. I want something behind it, And I always I thought it was cool. I think it's good practice for wrestlers getting started to work on their promos like they do matches. Because the ultimate goal should be to get to TV, and once you get to TV, you're gonna have to talk and cut promos. So I don't know why people don't work on that aspect, or like they just. I know a lot of people don't like it. People don't like talking, and they don't like the camera in front of their face. Some people don't care or have a problem with that.
I want to ask you this question, because you said something specifically. I wanted to ask, like, they do realize they can record it multiple times. Like, you could take 100 takes to get what you want.
Yeah. Sometimes that gets people more flustered, I feel. Like when we do some backstage pre-tapes and things like that, sometimes if, they don't get it in the first couple takes, it seems like they start getting anxious and flustered, and then they start doing worse. They like overthink it and panic. So sometimes you have to tell them, like, hey, just shut down for a second. Let's turn it off. Take a breath. Maybe we'll, walk away, let somebody else go. You come back, we'll get back to you. But yeah, I don't know. It's, I would like to see more promos on social media from people. I think it's a good way to help promote the shows that you're on. It's a good way to help promote yourself, and it's a good way to help get fans interested in who you are as a character.
Second question, I'll ask you follow up to that, because you said something that really triggered thought for me. I feel like they always think they have to be doing it for a specific match on a specific show, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I'm doing it for this opponent that I'm wrestling on this date, and I'm plugging it. I've asked questions of, like, I've seen, look, it's done on TV, by the way, folks, where, I don't know, the Frat House is just partying. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, get to know the character, get to know the people, that kind of, the character, the gimmick, call it whatever you want to. Why just not cut a promo that's not about a specific match and put it on your social media, just so people can start connecting with you? Like, the more they see you. You brought up Ben. Does anybody do it better? Like, he's doing all this stuff that's so fun to watch. Like, I follow Ben just because he's so entertaining. But then on a random time, I can tell you, oh, I know he's wrestling in the Northeast. I know he's wrestling here. I can give, because I follow his social media just for the entertainment.
Days,
Very much so, 100%. He's done okay with the whole social media thing. I would say, right? He's done okay for himself.
Yeah, I think he's got that down.
So that was kind of what I was asking. Is do you think guys should just say, like, have some fun with it, and it's not even about promoting the match with wrestler X at in Villa Rica or whatever. It's just cut a promo, like, show the world, like, this is who I am. And then just blindly at some point you can catch me at this promotion, even if you don't have specific matches. And then as the matches unfold and the story, like, start, kind of intertwining it with there as well.
For sure. I mean, 3 years ago, we're talking about Ben. 3 years ago, we had Body Guy University, BGU. It was me, Ben, Brandon Bullock, Parker Lee, Diamond Sheik. Quattro was in there. We had a couple other people, whatever. But, we would film just like skits of ourselves. Just doing shit backstage. We'd be in like the locker room chanting, doing whatever. We'd be out somewhere and just going over whatever we're doing throughout the day. It's like just doing Body Guy University stuff and conducting our business. But it was like we weren't even half the time we weren't promoting a match or anything. It's We were just filming stuff just to get content out there and get our characters and personalities over and get people familiar with us, especially if they're not in Georgia specifically and you want to get on other shows and other places. Your best tool is social media.
And a lot of people, I think, why don't more people do it? I just kind of, I'll be out asking people, and literally, I don't have the camera, or I don't have the editing equipment and stuff, and I'm like, I literally will go, there you go, like that's everything you need.
Yeah, as long as you have like an iPhone 13 or better, you can do everything just as well as any camera.
And it's just cut a one-shot somebody holding the camera, do that, boom, and you're
then
done.
If you want to like get into like some good value, because that's just like your most basic done, but just to get started, that's not bad. And then once you get a little more into it and you want to get them a little better, then you can go out and they have things, even at just like Walmart or Best Buy, you can buy these little lights, a little microphone that plugs into your phone, just something that will enhance the quality. But just to get started, just start doing them on your phone. You don't even have to post them. I've had this conversation with people in the One Fall locker room, and it's like, if you want to get better at promos, just cut them on your phone for yourself and then watch them back and then just do them again. And you don't have to post them. You can just keep doing them and get better on your own. And then once you're good, then you can post them. But for now, just cut them. It's like a wrestling match. Watching back a wrestling match. You look at what you did wrong, and then the next time you try to improve it. Don't cut promos, record them, watch them back, try to figure out what you could improve on, and then go back and do it again.
Some part of it, I believe, is I don't know, and that the not willingness just to like, hey, I need to learn. They're intimidated by the process, they feel like, and it needs to be heard. And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about this. Is like, hey, just do it, watch it back, because it'll help you do with your promos in the ring. Just watch yourself, because then you can sit there and go like, oh, so when I, some of the facial, that you've got, some of your facials and stuff, you can go like, oh yeah, don't do that. That didn't look good. And then you can cut the promo again and again and again. Let's be honest though, there is some people that are just like, I don't get paid to do it. I'm not, they're just lazy. They're just not doing them.
Sure. And that's just poor work ethic, in my opinion, personally. Especially if you do get paid to do a show, like, you're not just getting paid to have your match, you're getting paid to help that show. Like, that's the job, is to get the match over. And an easy way to get the match over and yourself and character is by posting a quick 30-second promo of you just sitting down talking. You don't even have to do anything. That's just lazy, in my opinion.
What else
not that you have to do it for every show either. I get it. But it's I guess lazy is not the word. Sometimes, whatever. I don't know. I personally would just like to see more promos on social media out of independent wrestlers. I think it'll help a lot of people.
I agree 100%. That's kind of from a wrestler perspective of what they should be doing. Now let's segue in a little bit. There's another thing that we talk about that maybe it's on the promotions more, obviously. What some of the things they should be doing?
So we talked about getting match graphics done, and this is something that we've been talking about a lot lately over at One Fall, and it's not necessarily that everybody needs a match graphic, or not everybody shares the match graphics. People that aren't on match graphics don't want to share match graphics, which I guess is like a natural inclination, but at the same time, if you're on the show, you should be sharing poster graphics, trying to help out. And again, like, I post everybody's graphics to my stories. I don't get what the big deal is. If I'm on the show, why wouldn't I want more people to come, and more people that see other people on the show are going to buy tickets? So it just helps out the show, which helps out me. You know what I mean? But like, as far as getting the match graphics done, it goes a long way for companies to pay to get a professional to do them. There's a lot of shows I see sometimes that'll have, like, it looks like a 6-year-old made it with clip art, and it's just like random emoji flashes and alien spaceships. Like, clip art done. Like, just pay a professional. What is it, like $200, and they'll make like all your show graphics or whatever. Like, and even at the end of the day, you can find somebody cheaper than that too. But like, just pay somebody that kind of knows what they're doing, rather than you not knowing and trying to figure it out yourself. It doesn't look good.
And they'll probably work you a deal if you they become the regular person doing your like, it's like, hey, if it's at a one-off, or is it something I'm going to do every month, or is it something, if I'm going to do them every single month for the whole year, then, if you're you run one show a month, that, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I think you can get a deal out of it the longer you do it. Some of this, though, I will turn this slightly back. This is the question I wanted to ask when it comes to match graphics, posters, etc. I also think that the talent need to make sure they have good, solid picks.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's nothing worse than just a terrible promo picture. That's the first thing people are gonna see about you on a show is your picture. Like that's the first thing that's gonna come up on social media when they advertise the shows is the picture of you. So you want to make sure that picture of you is the best possible picture of you.
Yeah, one of the worst things is I do see a good, let's call it even a decent to good poster, but one guy's like fuzzy because his pick is like not good.
Yeah.
Now,
and it's those you can even get a good decent promo picture with iPhone, like a newer iPhone, as long as you do it in front of a clean blank wall or something. It doesn't have to be like this whole big professional deal. But geez, some people. Yeah. Like they're getting these pictures from some Polaroids in the 80s. Yeah.
Like Southern Honor, we mentioned them earlier. That used to be one of the, big perks of working there is they had a professional photographer set up with with the white thing in the back of the board, the backdrop, and they were just taking pictures if you were on the show. You could just get a good, solid, and that's kind of how their posters look good because they were like, we're going to make sure we have a good one, going forward. And so that's where I can say it falls on one of two people. Like, yeah, the wrestlers should want one, but if you're a promotion that takes it seriously, hey, we provide that so we can get one from you. And then it's like, guys,
or you just don't get your picture on the poster.
Well, there's that. Yeah, there could just be like, you're just not going to be on the poster. So I agree with that one. But I think one of the biggest things is match graphics and posters, but posters in general. We've been doing this for about, over 9 years now, and I've seen some doozies. The posters there's some that are just horrendous. It's, and I'm like, step up your game. And then, so if you can't, at minimum, let's get a good poster. If you're not going to do match graphics, at least show me who's on the card. Like, so I could at least get a broad. I understand there's lots of shows that run that, and I'm saying this the right way, I guess, I hope. You're not always 100% sure the card's not set in stone, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, so I mean, say just that is like, there's so many things that happen and people like, so it's tough to put out these because we'll put out some match graphics and then like the next day, 4 of them have to change because so-and-so can't make it or their car broke down or this person's sick or this person got hurt or they're coming from out of state and their travel got messed up. There's just so many things that happen with independent wrestling that are so unreliable that the match graphics are tough to do. And we try to do them, but then like everything gets changed. And that's why card is always subject to change because things are going to happen.
But generally you hope, and I'm crossing your finger, your main and your semi-main are pretty set. And if you're putting that out, if it's an 8-match card, 2 or 3 of them you're pretty safe to put out there. And then the other stuff would be the poster of everybody, that's supposed to be there.
Right.
But guys, put the work in on the match graphics. I mean, I love them. I use them. I tell people all the time, if you have them, I try to use them for thumbnails, for social media posts, for episodes, everything to try to promote it. So I don't think it's a huge investment to make, and it doesn't sound like you do either.
No, and that's promotions. Please spend the money on graphics. Don't just make them yourself with clip art. And wrestlers as well to help them out. Please take the time to get professionally done photos. Stop sending in these terrible, dark, grainy, fuzzy photos. It's awful. This is your job. Take it serious. Take it like a job. Do the right things.
I agree. And
same with gear. We could get gear. Maybe we could do gear next time. But this is
we'll get into gear next time. Yeah.
The shorts and the t-shirt thing drives me nuts.
Tennis shoes. No, I'm just kidding. I get.
Yeah.
Actually, there are some tennis. I mean, listen. look, Cena made a career wrestling in, pumps,
Sure, but that's John Cena,
yeah. When you're John Cena, you can,
he started with tights and trunks.
That is true. The reason I think the match graphics also matters because you're hyping up some matches, and one of the things we want to talk about was specific types of matches that you wanted to bring up this week.
Yeah, gimmick matches. We see every show has gimmick matches. And then fans, there seems to be like some kind of confusion on what is a gimmick match, what isn't a gimmick match. In my opinion, anything that's not like a straight up singles or tag is a gimmick match, right?
Great, 100%. I mean, it was probably me and you having the conversation. We're like, tag match is a gimmick match. I mean, a tag match is. It's just we're so accustomed to seeing one now, we don't think of it that way. You're like, oh, it's just no, it's just not. It's not a singles competitor one-on-one match. So it's a gimmick. That's where it started, as a gimmick, right?
Yeah, it's just an extra thing to enhance a match. But there's been some pretty cool ones throughout the years. There's been some pretty terrible ones throughout the years. Maybe more terrible ones than cool ones, if anything, honestly. But we wanted to bring up the gimmick matches because of this Thursday night in Athens, Battle of Bulldog Country. Brady Booker and Warden will be having a hardcore match, which is not something we do a lot of at One Fall. Actually, is these types of gimmick matches. We had the coffin match at Summer Stage, but that's the biggest show of the year for us. Outside of that, we don't. I can't really recall too many other hardcore matches, no DQ matches, things like that.
Did JD and Trevor have one?
Oh, that's right. They had a street fight, I believe, maybe like a year ago.
Yeah. It's been I was going through the Rolodex to get back that far, but I was like, yeah, I think they did. But again, hold on, but that proves the point. It's been so long that we both were like, what was there? Like, oh yeah. And as many shows as you guys run, that shows you that typically that's not your MO. I mean.
Right. It's the weapons thing. Not to say that we don't use gimmick matches. We'll have the trios matches and the 4-ways and the battle royals, and we'll do the 8-mans and things like that, so it's not like it's something that's unfamiliar to us doing a gimmick match. But, as far as like weapons, hardcore things outside of the floor, we usually keep things pretty in the ring. At One Fall, it is very family friendly. We do have a lot of kids, so getting on the floor and using weapons and things like that isn't always the safest option for the shows and for the environment.
And it's in same thing. Like, people don't think about the dangers of a ladder match, or when the second chairs come out. I've been at shows where and you guys allow the fans to be relatively close to the ring, so pulling ladders out from under the ring is not probably the safest thing. I've seen chairs that were being used, and they fly over the ropes, and you're just like, oh, don't hit anybody. So they do have their downfalls, 100%.
Yeah. And that's not to say we won't use those things. We've used the steel cage match and the coffin match and the casino gauntlet match, so those things, nothing's off the table. It just depends on the situation. We're just not going to throw a random ladder match out there on a Monday Mayhem for no reason. We're going to pick and choose our spots for when we use those kind of matches.
I've always said that, specifically when you get into hardcore death matches, they're all the stuff that you see, even things like the bull rope matches. And I'm an old school Southern wrestling guy, the cage, etc. I'm always like, they should make sense. Like, we should be to that point for a reason. It shouldn't be just, hey, this guy wrestles bull rope matches, so he's going to this promotion. His first match, he's in a bull rope match with somebody. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, like Drago and Brady at Summer Stage. They had the cage because that's what the match called for. They needed a way to just be the two of them locked in that ring and no one in, no one out until there's a winner.
And sometimes that'll go sideways, right?
And sometimes somebody runs out there and throws a chair in the ring.
It happens from time to time. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I think in their place, and use like my biggest one that I criticize a lot. I catch a lot of grief for this, the Hell in a Cell. I have criticized it forever, and everybody goes, why do you criticize it? It goes, because I feel like over the last decade, we get it because it's the October pay-per-view. Like, that is the why. Like, we didn't get to it on a, like, why are we not having it at a, and I just specifically throwing out, it should be like these two have feuded for a year and we're just having it, and it just happens to be on it can be at a SummerSlam. It could be at any random pay. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it doesn't have to be a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell. Like,
right.
So I absolutely hate everybody says that I hate the Hell in a Cell match. And I'm like, I hate the way it's used. I don't hate the gimmick, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So Warden deserves it just because he's crazy. He attacked, Brady, and just, Brady's Brady. And I think that's the part that Warden needs to look out for on Thursday. We love Brady Booker, but his energy, I have tried to describe it to people and go, it is energetically, positively insane. Like, when he gets going, like, he is as crazy as it is. He's just, he's just the big teddy bear version of that everybody loves him. But with no rules, hardcore, that's tough for Warden, I think.
Listen, big teddy bear that everybody loves. Let's not get this confused. Warden attacked Brady, but Brady's the one that issued the challenge for the hardcore match. That was not Warden. Warden just attacked Brady. He didn't issue a challenge. He didn't make it the hard. Brady is the one that made it a hardcore match. So Warden may have bit off more than he can chew. So hopefully he's crazy enough that he's not going to feel this pain that Brady brings to him Thursday night.
Correct. Well, that's a little Pro Wrestling 101, but we're not done. We're going to go into it kind of seems like, I had some mailbag questions that's piled up over the last couple of weeks. And so we're going to do a little Q&A with Jack Jameson. And I've got a few to ask you, so let's jump right into it. We're always going to get into, like, I felt they were good for you because you're so much in it, you're very much a tool used all over the state as far as training and the teaching. So
people have often referred to me as a tool.
That is true. There was a day when that term came out of my mouth. Chris from Kennesaw said, what advice would you give some wrestlers that are trying to get noticed for extra work, tryouts, and stuff like that for bigger companies?
I mean, number one, the easiest thing you can do is hit the gym. This is an appearance-based business at the end of the day. I don't care what anybody says. So if you're looking to get noticed and you just want to be an extra and just get some extra work, the best thing you can do is get jacked, because they always need security guards. And I even like extra for talent as for matches. It's always good to beat up, a big jacked guy. So I would say probably just hit the gym would be the easiest thing you can do to get noticed.
Because there's always really buff security guys.
Mm-hmm.
The paramedics and the police are always really jacked, if you notice. And even in a enhancement match, if you want to call it that, it helps to beat somebody who looks like somebody versus beating a nobody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Marcus from Savannah said, is there more value in training with one coach long-term or learning from multiple trainers and seminars?
So I don't really know how to answer that because I've had both. When I started, I was with QT and Ray Lloyd. And then, I've been with QT the whole time, but throughout that time of my training, it's Ray's come and gone because he's had other things come up. Now, Dr. Luther, he came in for a while and he helped train me and coach, and he actually came up with the original Body Guy University idea. And then Billy Gunn came in and he's been helping coach and train for a while now at the Nightmare Factory. So I've had the benefit of having multiple coaches, but I've also had major benefit of having QT as my coach from start all the way through now. And I still learn from him every day doing everything with One Fall and Ring of Honor.
Would you say, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine, I'm going to ask you, would you say that most of the better schools are going to probably have a stable head, but you're going to have multiple trainers just because there's so many different styles and so many different approaches to it. They're like, hey, yeah, we're going to have a guy who teaches them, wrestling, and we're going to have a guy who's good in front of a camera, or, who's good at promos. You have to, it's such a diverse business, and there's so many things that catch on that it's better to have, like I said, not just but then you've got like the head is the leadership of the program, but then having enough, I'm going to put it to a football pro analogy. You've got a solid head coach, but the coordinators may come and go at times, and the systems may change a little bit, but they all have something to teach you that can make you better across the board.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
I get lucky every now and then. Tyler from Valdosta said, how much of a success in wrestling is about talent versus networking and relationships?
I think that's like anything in life. If you're talented and you work really hard, it'll get you to where you should be. But also, if you know people, it'll help you get places a lot quicker. That's anything.
I think, Jeff Jarrett says on his podcast a lot about opportunity is, it's timing, but it's also about being at the right place at the right time, but it's also being prepared when you get that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, just because you get that opportunity, because you know somebody, doesn't mean you're going to keep that opportunity. You know what I mean? If you're not talented and you're not good enough, there is an expiration date. So it's just because you get something maybe before you're ready for it, you have to be able to step up and maintain that spot and keep it.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter. Like I said, somebody may can give you the opportunity, but you still got to earn it. I think in the long run, you're not going to get it, and they didn't earn it. So, Brandon from Augusta, what's the most important thing young wrestlers need to understand about the business side of wrestling outside the ring?
Know your worth, but be realistic. I feel like a lot of young wrestlers maybe think maybe they value themselves a little higher than they should. I don't know. I think this people think they're gonna come out and be world champion day one, and it's like you just gotta learn to manage your expectations and realize where you're at and what you're ready for.
Somebody had mentioned kind of something to the effect you just said, and I'll ask this question. I said, go look at your favorite wrestler anywhere on television, because a lot of them are like, oh, this is my favorite, or they'll bring up somebody, like, oh, I think the best wrestler in the world is Bryan Danielson, and I'll go look at his go look at his biography, his bio, and see how long it was before he was remotely where you think you want to be. And then, in that kind of environment. And I'm like, hopefully it changes their perspective on, your Stone Cold Steve Austin's like, how long was he in wrestling before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Like, those are the kind of things to keep, I think, important.
The Yes movement didn't happen overnight, and Austin 316 was not born overnight.
I jokingly said to one young wrestler, I said, there are a lot of wrestlers that their career is essentially almost over before they get, to where they made it. Like, you're kind of on the back end a lot of times before you even get there. Now, with science and nutrition and, workout, everything, guys are now wrestling well, farther in their careers than they should still be wrestling longer. We had some guys that wrestled later in their careers, but they actually still should be wrestling. And I just think that's a lost thing. And it's, I agree. Well, that's all the questions I have for you this week. But you had mentioned maybe.
Well, you think we're done? You're not getting out that easy. I got some questions for you, buddy. So speaking of, we were talking about gimmick matches earlier. I was curious, what is your favorite type of gimmick match?
I love a good Rumble match. I think when done well, there's I've seen, even on the it's funny because I see a lot of them on the indie scene as well. So I'm not even, that is my favorite pay-per-view of the year, period. PLE, whatever. It is what it is. It's my favorite one. I think But even, a lot of people ask me like, hey, what was your favorite match? What's your favorite event, in Georgia? And I'm like, it's the Rumble, Jack. I love a good Rumble when the stories are told well. When you involve 30 or 40 people in one match that goes well over an hour, again, when done correctly, the storytelling there, you could tell 8, 9, 10 stories within the big picture of that story. And that's just always been, for me, that's always probably been my favorite gimmick matches as far as that goes. I was trying to break it down into tiers, I guess, in my head. They don't even do these anymore. I remember as a kid, my favorite gimmick was the scaffold match. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
They're terrible. In hindsight, when you go back and watch, they're super dangerous, and they're just not good when you actually watch them, because half the time everybody's like, they're not going out to the center, they're staying low.
Yeah, they're scared shitless.
And I understand that now, but back then it was always a big thing. But yeah, I guess my immediate answer is always going to be a Rumble. But if you're talking something more specific, one-on-one, two guys going at it, I always, the cage is always the best to settle the feud, right? Get them in there, nobody in, nobody out. You get a clear, defined finish, which is why I hate the escape the cage gimmick. Like, no, I need pinfall submission in the cage, very old school NWA, whatever.
Yeah,
rules.
and that gets weird. Like, can you go in the door? Can you go out the door? Like, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can go over the top, sometimes you can't. Like, just beat each other in the middle of the ring.
And here's why I say this too. You'll probably love this answer. I don't understand why the good guy ever tries to escape the cage. Like, he should never want to. Like, you eliminate so you're essentially giving the the heel, you're giving him that option, but that shouldn't even be an option for the good guy.
Sure.
He's like, he should want, as the good guy in the story, the hero in the story, he should want to beat him 1, 2, 3 or with a submission, and that's it.
Definitely.
So that's my answer.
Try to win that
I'd
match.
say Rumble, yeah.
Okay. Me personally, I am going to be a homer on this one. I'm going to say the Casino Gauntlet has become easily my favorite type of gimmick match. I think that's so cool. It's like the Royal Rumble, but a little different, and it can end at any time. You never know how many people are going to be in it. It can have 6 people. It can have 40 people. But yeah, the Casino Gauntlet, I think, has become my favorite type of gimmick match.
And that's a Rumble style. You know what I mean? That's when I just say that style of match. Yes, exactly.
Okay. So we talked about them earlier. Do you have any insight or any kind of word exactly what's going to be going on with Southern Honor moving forward? We know they just had their last show in that building. Is there any updates as far as what we can expect moving forward from them?
They did announce it. So they are going to take October off. Then in November, they are going to be moving it's literally a couple miles, couple blocks or whatever away from where they were at Reformation Brewery. It's getting all set up right now. Has how it's going to be set up. Some of that details was a little bit of all. But absolutely the big anniversary show will be in November. So give them a follow on social media and check them out. So at least for now, they have a home, that they will be running in November, and we'll see from there. And I'm sure they're still looking for a permanent home. That's kind of look. Gary was going through a bunch. The church was, everything was. He's got a fight league, so I'm sure he's looking for a place that could probably, I understood. On a personal level, I know he said, look, the church is his priority. The other stuff is secondary, but sure, if he could find one that would house it all, that would probably be ideal, but that's not the primary concern for the building. But I'm sure he'll figure out something. Him and Dylan they're all smart guys. They'll figure it out.
Sure. So let's talk about besides For One Fall, obviously, One Fall, we're the best. Besides For One Fall, who's maybe the best new promotion out there right now in the state of Georgia, as far as you're aware?
So let's eliminate out all of anybody that's been around 2 years or more. That takes out.
Yeah, just within the past year.
So I know Bullpen would probably be my immediate answer because I know they are not quite up to their anniversary yet. And Bull Buchanan runs. If you love good old fashioned Southern wrestling, that style, and they run multiple places. They've Villa Rica, Temple. They've got Alabama shows, so they're kind of following that same. Let's run multiple places, use guys multiple times. So Kraken just passed their year mark. I would argue that I think they do really well as what because they have a YouTube show and they write it like TV. Like they have they plan it out, and so they do a 2.5 hour show, and then they break that into 4 weeks of TV, and and then they record the next one and the next, so forth, so on. And I really like kind of some of the storytelling they did. Like to undertake something like they're doing a tag team tournament. That they're doing it, it literally is going to take, I think it was like 10 months. They were going to have points, where teams were winning points and, working through to get to the finals. And in the finals, they were going to crown their tag team champions at their 2-year anniversary show.
Jeez.
So, you know what I mean?
That's impressive.
I really like what they're doing there. And I'm a big fan of a lot of the guys who actually, run the promotion. But, so I guess Kraken, technically it's not this year.
We'll count it.
Yeah, Bullpen, and the other one is Apex. I mean, Josh, I know he listens. He's a Patreon member. They had a bumpy start.
Nice.
Yeah. So that bumpy start, but absolutely without question they've rebounded. Look, they've got now. You'd be a fan. One of their centerpieces is Drago.
Hey, that's my boy. Talk about.
So with him, they've got Cruel down there, bringing him in. Like I think lots of pieces to that puzzle. I think that they've turned a corner after the bumpy start. So you could probably add them to the equation as well.
Great, yeah, and we've talked about that. I've asked you about them before. The last time I was on, they seem like they're doing a really good job over there, especially, they got my boy Drago. So big shout out, 6'4", 260, Ukrainian-born Thriller. But that's cool, man. Yeah, those and all three of those companies, cool names. A name is a big thing for me. If you have a cool name or not. In Bullpen, that's a sweet name. Kraken, and even Apex, those are all cool names. So that's big thumbs up from this guy right here. I'm sure they can come up with some pretty cool merch too, which I think is something we could talk about on another show. Is promotions doing some merch. One Fall's getting pretty deep into some merch stuff, and all of our stuff is looking pretty sweet. But moving on from that, you talked about on the show last week, I believe, Greatness Inc. Greatness Inc. That's an interesting name. Like I said, big name guy. Names will get you. A cool name, a good name, an interesting sounding name can draw some attention. And for me, like a cool sounding name makes me interested in learning more. So tell me a little bit about Greatness Inc., please.
So Greatness Inc. was it's easy to say it's a faction, but it's really not a faction per se. And when people ask me that, it's from the mind of Richard Page. Rick Page, the former alter ego there of Richard Page, kind of had made a faction there at SCA, and it really kind of he took pieces it would be like there's some veterans, some young guys, it was like a little mixture of all the above. And the vision, I would say, is if you're familiar with the Heenan family back from the old classic WWF, and he kind of did that vision, and he kind of took over the Royston Dome, but over the last several months he's kind of spilled over. And now he has invaded into Premier All-Star down on the West Georgia side. And what's unique about it is a lot of people, when they move a faction from one place to the next, the people come with him, and he's not. He's recruiting new pieces at every place he seems to be going. So it's kind of unique. He's had the tag champions. He's had the Richard Page at one point held the Friday Night Championship at SCA. Now he has Lethal Gaines, which is Lamar Phillips, Chris Gaines, Richard Marks, down at the Premier All Star. So basically you'll get a kick out of this. So they had a match. It was a huge match, and it was basically to winner take all for the tag team titles and the 6-man titles, trios titles, if you will. Well, they won those 6-man titles, and in a post show promo, video, they took the tag belts and threw them in the trash and go, "Those are trash. These 6-man belts are the only ones that matter, and these are the only ones we're going to defend." I mean, kind of a different.
I don't know about that. I'm never a fan of disrespecting championship titles, but I get it. Hey, look, cocky young guys, greatness Inc. What are you gonna do? I understand. I understand completely. I'm not gonna hate on him for it. I personally would never tarnish a title like that. But to each his own. I do shady things that I probably shouldn't be doing, and people don't respect. So who am I to judge?
But they made an impact, and everybody remembered it. So they made,
Of course.
And then, as of late, Baracus is a new member he's brought in. And it's cool because Baracus, you've probably heard of him. You didn't even realize it. He was formerly Brother Azrael. He's all over the state, pro in Alabama as well.
Yeah. So this is what you were talking about last week that I wanted to bring this up.
Yes. So basically, he had seemingly hit a wall. Richard Page sees a vision in him and says, "I can make something, but let's take him and make him in my vision." You know what I mean? Like you've seen, again, if this screams Heenan family, right? We're going to take a guy over here who's struggling. We're going to put him in what I see him as. And now he literally makes an impact by debuting, by taking out and injuring somebody on his first appearance. So
that's great. See, that I respect.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of, Richard Page's vision, as a whole, I guess you would say, of Greatness Inc. And kudos to him. He's done a great job. Again, it's cool to see even something as simple as change the hair color, change, little bitty things. And it's just, now it's clicking everywhere and it's starting to pick up. So kudos to him.
Yeah, reinvent yourself, man. That's great. That's something big you see on TV all the time. Wrestlers will reinvent themselves every 6 months. But then on the indies, these guys will stick with the same thing, like the same gear even for a year, 2 years, 3 years at a time. It's like, change up your shit,
Chris Jericho does it all the time.
Yes,
constantly.
The master of it.
Yep, 100%.
Redefining himself. Another promotion you talked about, I believe last week that I was interested in was Renegade Independent Pro Wrestling, right? That's fill me in on Renegade, please.
So Renegade's been around for a while. It's not quite 2 years yet. They're creeping at probably a year and a half, give or take. So the Renegade Enforcer, Corey, he actually owns it, runs it. So he used to wrestle.
That makes sense.
Yeah. He used to wrestle. Off the air, I'll tell you a little of the backstory. He can't wrestle anymore. So he's running Renegade. And one of the things that he just wants to give a lot of guys opportunities. And, and a lot of people, when they say that, it's a lot of young guys, but it's really not. You'll appreciate this. It's young guys and vets that aren't getting opportunities everywhere else. Like, hey, well, they're not going to get any better if you're not getting those reps. So, they feed a lot out of the WWA 4 school over there in Atlanta. But yeah, I just think they're doing their all to make a push to give those opportunities. And I think at the core, that's kind of what they're doing. And they're trying to even teach people. But ultimately, they acknowledge, I had a conversation with them about, a while back when we were talking about the show. And that's kind of what they said is like, our goal is we understand that people are probably going to leave and go because, we want them to get more bookings. We want them to get more opportunities elsewhere. And that's okay. We'll just keep plowing ahead and doing our thing. But to recognize when a guy works his way up and then we can see him on TV and go, we played a small part in that growth, that's kind of what I think they're looking for.
That's great. That's that kind of reminds me of PCW a few years ago. Now they have their new nice building. They have like their set roster kind of, it seems like. But a few years ago, in the old building, PCW was a great place where people would just kind of go show up any night, and those guys over there would find a way to get everybody on the card and give everybody a match, get everybody some reps. So that's cool
Yeah.
to hear that Renegade is doing that for everybody. That's great.
Yeah. 100%.
And then we don't have to talk about the reasons why they aren't or signed to a company or whatever. It's not. I'm just curious in your opinion, who is the best unsigned wrestler in Georgia? And we don't have to talk about why they're not signed or anything. Just
Sure.
who do you think is the best unsigned wrestler in Georgia?
Uh, I two different reasons I think they should be signed, not the reverse of why they're not signed. But we addressed Ben Bishop earlier, and it's like there's an old catchphrase about being 7 foot tall and you can't there's just size you can't teach. I mean, look, it's the same in your daily life. You see Satnam all the time, right? Like, I get it. Ben's not Satnam. He's a little bit taller than Ben, but still, it's, he's just so massive. I could never understand why he just, at least let's see. But over the last year, 6 months to a year, it's because I've come to realize that, via his social media, talking to him in person, he's hilarious. Like the personalities for days, like, it just would make sense for all the entertainment reasons, not just the size reasons, why he's not there. Like, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole too far, but Omos gets a chance. It's his size, right? And I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying he's not he's not as charismatic as Ben Bishop. So why not that guy get a chance too? So from that perspective, I think Ben should be. He's my first one, I would probably argue.
Hey, earthquake and pillar shaking, always wears his sunglasses because the sun never sets on a cool guy. 6'12", 15% of a metric ton, big trouble Ben Bishop, baby. I completely agree. Ben's the best. VGU for life.
Look, and he probably the next one. If I had to think, I would make the case for Vari Morales. I have said it forever. He's
one FW breakout champion, my former Los Barachos tag team partner. Come on.
He's already making an impact in Colorado's and Texas and the Northeast and Mexico. It doesn't matter where he goes. Like, dude, there's not a style he can't wrestle. I mean, there really isn't when you think about it. You're like, hey, go out there and have a great wrestling match. Okay, no problem. Hey, go out there and wrestle a lucha style match. Okay, no problem. Hey, we want you to go out there and have a little bit of a hardcore match. Okay, I can do that too. He's a tough dude, he's super tough. So I just have never understood, and everybody throws the reason, and I'm like, okay, like, you could try size, but I'm like, that dude's got more fight than size than you're ever going to possibly imagine.
Hey, and let's not forget that for maybe the past couple 4 shows, maybe Billy Gunn has requested to team with Vari Morales. Billy Gunn's not out here requesting to team with anybody. He's asking to work with Vari. That tells you how good Vari is.
Yeah, so that's if the two off the top of my head, as far as like they're ready to be signed now, that's probably would be the ones. There's a lot of guys that I think are right there. You could make a case for they're ready for a developmental deal or whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But the two that I just off the top of my head, that's probably the ones I would throw out fastest.
Sure, and I love those picks. Those are great choices in my opinion. Those are my guys, and I strongly believe in them, and I think they will one day get there. So, last question for you. This is probably the most important question, and everybody at home should think about this one. Who do you think the Buffalo Bills will defeat in the Super Bowl this year and finally win a Super Bowl after my whole life of just
suffering through multiple losses after multiple losses? Now listen, I was every year when they had their 4 straight, I won't lie to you, I was rooting for them every year. I was a big,
nice.
Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and all that, Andre Reed. Yeah, see, I know my Bills, man. I mean, so here's the thing. I think it's looking.
Not to get too distracted, but Thurman Thomas once got into a Twitter war with me because I didn't let his underage daughter into a bar one night when I was working security. She had a fake ID. I said no, and then the next day he blew up Twitter for the bar, talking shit, why did you let my daughter in if I was there? I was like, you're trying to get your underage daughter into this bar? And it's a whole thing. But yeah, Thurman Thomas called me a piece of shit on Twitter for not letting his underage daughter get drunk.
You wear that one with a badge of honor, I'm sure, right? As a Bills
Oh,
fan.
hell yeah, brother.
So I really honestly think, I'm a big football guy. I'm a big NFL guy. I'm a fantasy league guy, 2-0, by the way, already.
Nice.
Um,
Just like the Bills.
Yeah, I probably think it's going to be either Green Bay or Detroit, believe it or not, in the Super Bowl facing them.
I can see that.
Green Bay just looks like they're, but then of course.
You think Detroit? Really? That's Vance's team. That would be a hell of a matchup for the Frat House.
Listen, when Green Bay handled them the first week, I was like, hey, they struggled, and then Detroit just demolished the Bears, this past weekend, and I thought, I don't know who this says, but this either says that the Bears are just the worst of the worst. They got 52 points hung on them, or maybe the Packers are just that good this year. That was where I'm leaning, because then I saw their second game as well. So if they beat anybody in the Super Bowl,
not if, when.
Here's the thing: if they make it to the Super Bowl, I think they win.
When they make it to the Super Bowl,
I do believe after week 1, I went on record, and it's going to take me 16, 17 weeks, whatever, to probably change my mind. But I said that first weekend, we watched the absolute 2 best teams in football play each other, the Ravens and Bills in that first game. So if they were to get knocked out, that's where I think it's over on that side. They don't make it to the Super Bowl because they lose in the championship, or if they get it,
It would be very sad for me.
It would be. Hey, but look, Lamar needs one too, but that's a whole other conversation.
No, he doesn't. Buffalo needs one more. Baltimore has won recent Super Bowls.
If it makes you feel any better, I am on the record for saying I honestly do believe that Josh Allen right now is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, hands down. There's no one closer. And you know what's crazy? That game against the Ravens, that's a game that the Bills would have lost 10 out of 10 times, maybe 5 years before now, all the way up my entire life. That's a game they would have hands down lost. Never would have came back from. I would have turned that off in the second half.
No, yeah, I just think that the rest of the AFC is pretty banged. I think they're just those two heads and shoulders above the rest. So yeah, I think if they lose to anybody, it's the Ravens. If they don't, they beat anybody out of the NFC, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And now all the wrestling fans are crying because we're not talking about wrestling anymore. So.
Well, listen, there's plenty of places, plenty of times that you can find your wrestling, and that's all over on Patreon, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Look, we went through the laundry list of all the benefits, so I'm not going to do that again, but make sure you're either checking us out there even on YouTube. Make sure, just like the little graphic shows, make sure you're subscribing, clicking that little notification bell so you don't ever miss an episode. We're dropping 3 a week now, minimum, as crazy as that sounds.
Getting on that one-fall schedule.
That's what it feels like. There are plenty of days it feels like that. My back's hurting thinking about it. But yeah, man, we appreciate all the support. We appreciate you. Hey, man, and I appreciate you joining me again. I was a little bit quicker turnaround than our last go around. People
probably saw me looking at my notes, but that's because this was a little bit of last minute. Not quite prepared as I would normally like to be, but here I am banging it out as per usual. The only way Jack Jameson can do. Have I flexed enough for you, Nick? Do you need a little more?
It's never enough for the listeners and the watchers on YouTube, right? They're on YouTube watching. We have a higher female.
Yeah, that's terrible radio, I guess.
Well, here's the thing, but on our YouTube, we have a higher female demographic than I ever thought we would have. So there you go, ladies. That one's for you.
Well, it helps out when you got Jack Jameson, Kylie Bravo, and Rosario Grillo as your co-hosts. You know what I mean?
That I agree 100%. But man, well, hopefully I will maybe see you on Thursday, maybe on Friday, one of the two at minimum.
We both know you'll show up to both of them.
My wife doesn't let me do that, but she's like, all right, I got to be at home at some point, right?
Yeah.
But man, that's what we try to do. We appreciate you. We appreciate you guys for listening, supporting indie wrestling. And again, as always, go out though Thursday, buy a ticket. It's up in Athens at the Warehouse. Friday in McDonough. All the other shows, we post them up on the social media things. Go down, buy your tickets, and just maybe maybe we'll see you at the matches.